You know, social justice warriors will do their best to make you feel guilty for protecting yourself, your fellow citizens, and your nation. Just listen to this.
Illegal immigrants are a really big problem in our country. I think everyone can agree with that. The question is, did March and March members stop foreign nationals from accessing healthcare today in Durban and in Rosettenville? Section 27.1 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa clearly states that everyone has the right to have access to healthcare services, including reproductive healthcare. Then it says, this constitutional provision means that also people in South Africa, regardless of nationality, should have access to basic healthcare services.
Do you want to know what these passionate negative comments are directed towards? Listen to this.
I think it's been a very busy couple of days and weeks, actually. As you know, March and March started in March, and it's been a couple of months now that we've been making the call to government to attend to the matter of illegal immigrants. And the pace at which it's been happening has not been to the satisfaction of the general public of South Africa. As you know, March and March are ordinary citizens of the country of South Africa who are not in any way politically affiliated to any political party. So it's just us as South Africans saying that we've had enough of the crime, we've had enough of the influx, the damage to infrastructure, the shortage of resources, and the many other problems that have been brought on by illegal immigrants in South Africa. And we've made this call to government, and we have been constantly blue-ticked and not given the attention that we feel that this matter deserves, because it is a crisis. And so therefore we decided that we have been asked and tasked as South Africans to make sure that we protect this country and we protect its resources and its people. So that's what we've been doing lately, and making sure that the future of ourselves and our children is taken back to the hands that it rightfully belongs to, which is South Africans.
Sounds fair enough, doesn't it? That is something that many sane South Africans can support, right? But for some reason, many South African journalists seem to not support that. Take a listen.
But is that to say that March and March in various parts of the country, so in Durban, for instance, as well as in Rosettenville today, and this is with clarity that I'm looking for, that March and March protesters and your own members were outside healthcare facilities trying to stop foreign nationals from accessing healthcare facilities?
I think when using terms like trying to stop illegal immigrants from accessing, we take away from what the real issues are. Nobody's trying to stop illegal immigrants from entering into facilities. Doesn't start there. It starts at the point that we should not even have illegal immigrants in the country to begin with. And if the government is failing to protect South Africans, if the government is failing to protect South African resources, then it's the duty of every South African to step up and play their part to protect what is rightfully ours for ourselves. It's not trying to stop anyone.
So I'm not looking for the reasoning, I'm looking for the facts of the matter.
The March and March lady has been very clear that the main issue here is that we have several illegal foreigners in South Africa, consuming loads of our resources that are meant for South Africans and legal foreigners. But for some reason, the news anchor is focusing only on making the March and March movement seem evil. Just imagine. Fortunately, the March and March lady managed to keep her composure and share even more facts.
That's why I'm correcting you, Naledi, because you're not using the correct terminology. And if you're doing that, you're going to change the situation into what it's not. Because I have said this before. It's like saying that South Africans are xenophobic for trying to enforce the law. It can't be xenophobic if we're enforcing the law. Today, we were enforcing the laws of this country by preventing people who are in the country illegally from accessing resources that they are not supposed to be accessing, because by right, those people should be getting deported and taken back to their countries. That is what we were doing, protecting South Africa. Because as a forum, because let's call it a forum, forums are all over the country. They are there to help the police to fight crime. we're doing the same thing as South African citizens. The only difference here is that in South Africa, with illegal immigrants, they always get treated with child gloves as if they're not the same people who have broken the laws of this country and come to the country illegally. How different is March and March to a normal forum that goes to the community to fight crime? I don't see the difference with what we're doing to everything that every other forum does. We're enforcing the laws of South Africa.
Naledi and her colleagues should be inviting the police minister, the home affairs minister, and all relevant authorities to explain why citizens need to be the ones fulfilling the role of the police, the border control, and home affairs. Instead of attacking patriotic citizens, attack those who are paid to ensure that we do not have so many illegal foreigners enjoying the benefits meant for South Africans. These journalists aren't just interrogating citizens who are actively trying to fix the problem, but they're digging for technicalities to push their social justice agenda and guilt us into accepting dysfunction.
You know, you talk about the laws, and the channel earlier spoke to the South African Human Rights Commission that wanted to remind the public and stakeholders, and I'm going to read from the statement that we received from the Human Rights Commission, because this is what it does. You talk about laws. The Human Rights Commission says Section 27.1 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa clearly states that everyone has the right to have access to healthcare services, including reproductive health care. Then it says, this constitutional provision means that all people in South Africa, regardless of nationality, should have access to basic healthcare services. Stay with me for a little bit, because then it goes on to say, this includes South African citizens, refugees and asylum seekers, and then listen to this, documented and undocumented migrants, as well as stateless persons. So you talk about the law, but this is what our Constitution says, Jacinta.
You can hear just how excited she was to have the support of the South African Human Rights Commission in this matter. Heard how she said, this is what our Constitution says. Do you even care that the influx of undocumented foreigners inhibits South Africans from enjoying many of the rights and benefits that they are entitled to according to our Constitution? Huh? Does the South African Human Rights Commission care about the rights of South Africans, or they are just looking for every loophole to protect and provide for illegal foreigners, even at the expense of South Africans? Tell us, why would anyone fund organizations like these? Anyone funding these kinds of organizations is actively trying to destroy the South African identity. They are definitely trying to destabilize this country, trying to create a nation of entitlements, freebies for squatters and illegal foreigners. Unfortunately for the Human Rights Commission and for this news anchor, the March and March lady knew her story, and she knew that only one sentence from that long statement was from the Constitution. The rest of the fluff was the biased interpretation by the Human Rights Commission. Just listen to this lovely lady, put them in their place with facts, nothing but facts.
Okay, so Naledi, there is no part in the Constitution that says undocumented, documented people have a right to access to healthcare. The word that is used is everyone, and everyone is subject to whatever you interpret everyone to be. And also, to add to that, there is no constitution in the world, firstly, that is designed for people from outside. Every single constitution in every single country is designed for people who are citizens of that country. Second to that, there's not a single constitution in the country that contradicts itself. So how can the Constitution of South Africa say that illegal immigrants are in the country illegally and therefore need to be deported, but then that same constitution says those people must have a right to everything that South Africans have?
Isn't it brilliant how she exposed the twisted logic of the Human Rights Commission in this case? I mean, really, taking our constitution and bending it to fit their socialist, woke, activist narrative. They do it often, don't they? It's just that most days they don't come across someone who actually knows what they're talking about and knows how to articulate it well. But today they ran into a citizen who came prepared, and I was loving every second of it. And just wait, because she's not done with them yet. She goes on to tear apart the contradictions in the Commission's own statement.
It's not fair. You're interpreting the Constitution in a way that is not supposed to be interpreted. The word that is being misinterpreted here is everyone. And that everyone was speaking about South Africans of different races, of different color, because previously that was limited to only white people. We are not going to talk about the Constitution. Secondly, if there's a part where the government of South Africa has failed to protect South Africans using that same Constitution by protecting us from illegal immigrants who have come here and committed crime. You can't say if you are not doing your duty, then South Africans don't have a right to protect themselves. That is not fair. Because if the government is not doing their duty and protecting our borders and protecting our communities from illegal immigrants, then South Africans have a right to protect themselves. And that is a fair thing to ask of South Africans.
Hats off to this woman. She's absolutely right, and she's not alone. Just listen to this testimony from a woman working in the healthcare sector, someone who's seen firsthand how illegal foreigners exploit and defraud our public services.
And as someone who's part of the committees within the area, what are the issues that you are seeing that are maybe prevalent in this area with regards to health, and what the groups are saying march on march that is blocking at this moment?
Okay. What I have observed here in this Lendo clinic, the Lendo problem here, this clinic is overcrowded. I would say around about 70 to 80% of foreign nationals that are attending this Lendo clinic. And on the other hand, there is what is happening here, which is the identity theft, because we've had quite a lot of cases that were reported to me even last year, and we had called the police from Rosettenville police station to attend and arrest those people. When I say those people, I want to be specific. Foreign nationals that had used South African IDs, because some of these South African IDs that they use, they rent them or they pay South Africans. You'll understand. And then you find that maybe 4 or 5 of them, pregnant women, using one identity card.
Illegal foreigners have become bold enough to access our healthcare system using fraud. And when South Africans report it, barely anything is done. But of course, that doesn't make the headlines. Why? Because it doesn't fit the socialist narrative, does it? There's no media outrage, no panel discussions, no moral interrogation. After all, calling it out would pour cold water on the flames of the Pan-Africanist and the globalist agendas. So the media stays quiet. But the good thing is, no matter how much the woke media, the politicians, or social justice warriors try to gaslight us, we as citizens know what we see. We know what we live. Like many of you, I've been to public clinics many times. And if I wanted to be seen by the nurses and be out of there by 10 or 11, I had to get there by 6 a.m., sometimes even earlier, often with an infant or a toddler who was cold, unwell, and irritable. And after all of that, I remember being told that we've run out of medication. Sorry, but you have to buy your medication or your child's medication at a pharmacy. So I was referred to a pharmacy to spend money I shouldn't have to spend, buying medicine I was supposed to receive at the clinic. A look around would reveal that many foreigners are also in the queue, getting access to the same services funded by my taxes. Would I be wrong to wonder, would there have been enough medication if those who weren't supposed to be here weren't in the queue? Would the nurses have been able to help me in 2 hours instead of 4 or 5 if they weren't so stretched trying to serve people who the system never planned or even budgeted for?
Those are strong allegations, Mama. Is this something that you have brought to perhaps the Department of Health, where you guys have noticed that someone is using a South African ID when they're not?
Yes, Ngobile, we do have proof, because the fact that police were called in my presence, in some of these cases, not all of them, they were brought to Rosettenville police station. And then after that, it was just quiet. It was not one case. Nothing happened after they were taken by the police. Yes, in full view of people here.
And this happens day after day. Illegal foreigners who don't pay taxes, who aren't included in the national planning, are comfortably riding a system that is already buckling under pressure. And we are expected to just keep quiet, to accept it.
So, Mama, maybe what would be the solution in this case? Because we know that as part of rights for people who are South African and who live in South Africa, they all have a right to health.
What do you mean? What is the solution? Deal with illegal foreigners who are here illegally, using our resources illegally, and get rid of those who engage in crimes. You know what makes all of this even worse? Even when ordinary South Africans step up and try to help the authorities to uphold the Constitution by dealing with illegal immigrants, especially those committing additional crimes to the one of being here illegally, departments like Home Affairs and the police still don't do everything in their power to fix the problem. But hopefully we will see a rise in patriotic, committed public servants like Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi very, very soon.
I think in this meeting that will be engaging all stakeholders, we would love to have some of the departments, like the Home Affairs Department, should be part of that, immigration as well, because most of these clinics, they are suffering precisely because these very same people, they go to this clinic today, Rosettenville clinic, and then there's no record. Then after 2 days, they go to another clinic, you see, and then they'll be attended to because they are patients. But it is not right at the end of the day. I'm not trying to be xenophobic, but I want to address this issue, because I am involved in this clinic.
Mama we, you are not xenophobic. You are patriotic. Guys, do you see what they've done? They've worked so hard to convince us that we are xenophobic just for caring about ourselves, our fellow citizens, and our own country. But let's be clear, we are not xenophobic. We are not. We visit these clinics. Do the politicians, the journalists, and woke activists queue with us at 5:30 or 6 a.m. in the morning?
Excruciating pains at the hospital's maternity ward foyer. These patients say more than 20 pregnant women have been crammed in this tiny space for the past week with no assistance.
I'm here today for an emergency Caesar.
And you're saying they're not giving you anything to cover yourself, just in the nighties?
No nightie, no blanket. The only thing you get is food. It's fine, food, there's no problem, but what about the blankets? Because there are people who come from Rosettenville, from Butterworth, from Aidukwa, who actually come here. So if you come here, you don't know that you're going to sleep here, Most. You just come here, then you sleep here. If you have no blanket, then you're out.
She says they don't have money, they are unemployed, and they are being moved around this hospital all the time. She says they wish that they could just do what they need to do here and leave. And she says they are being failed by the hospital and wish that something could be done about this.
This is too much.
We have given birth in these overcrowded public hospitals with many undocumented Zimbabweans, Congolese, Nigerians, Malawians, you name it. I don't remember coming across these social justice warriors while I was made to sleep on a cold bench all night, 9 months pregnant, because the hospital was full of people who shouldn't have been there. We live in neighborhoods where 5 or more foreign families, often undocumented, squeeze into one house, overwhelming local infrastructure, piling rubbish on street corners, dealing drugs near our homes, dragging down our property values. Where do these politicians stay? Where do these journalists and social justice warriors live? Fellow citizens, this is not hate. This is lived reality. If we hated foreigners, why would we be accepting of those who are here legally? From our high schools to our universities and even our workplaces. If we hated foreigners, why would we be giving citizenship to those who are contributing positively to our nation? We date and marry them. We employ them and befriend them. What is right, and what is wrong is wrong.
What a great privilege to be here today with Vincent and Emmanuel Tatuka, Vincent on the cusp of making his Springbok debut, our newest Springbok. I'm Leon Schreiber, the Minister of Home Affairs. This is Tommy McCordy, the DG of Home Affairs. And we are just here to say it is such a privilege to have been able to contribute this latest chapter in Springbok history. Last year, I had the privilege of naturalizing both Vincent and Emmanuel. They are refugees from the Congo, came to South Africa at a very young age, but who have contributed to building this country. I think it is such an important new chapter of what the Springboks teach us, that we really are better together, that there is strength in diversity. Yes, South Africa has enormous challenges with immigration, and we at Home Affairs are working every single day to address those. Look at the power of what South Africa can achieve when we work together.
Why would any of that be happening if indeed we hated foreigners so much? We are not xenophobic. We have just had enough of this nonsense, and we are definitely tired of being gaslit. It's not just clinics being overwhelmed by people who were never planned for or budgeted for. It's every single one of our country's resources. Those are just the facts, and facts first, cry later. Just because the people with the cameras, the microphones, and media space choose to value foreigners over South Africans doesn't mean we will do the same. Should we fold our arms and keep quiet simply because we have a lazy government? Should we look away and keep quiet while we are overrun by illegal immigrants, by people that enter the country by breaking our law? The fact that they broke the law to enter here makes them criminals. Why don't you address that, huh? Guys, should we just keep quiet while the clinics and hospitals are full of undocumented foreigners taking up space and resources? Roads are full, taxis are full, neighborhoods are overpopulated, resulting in sanitation and energy constraints. And we should just keep quiet because speaking up is xenophobic. Meanwhile, the very countries many of these individuals come from are being torn apart by violence, whether from political comrades or radical religious extremists. Just look around the world. Nations that were too afraid to speak up are now drowning in the same chaos, the same violence and disorder that they once watched from a distance. That will not be us. We will not stay silent.
So this is the big boss, the owner of this company that hires more than 60 illegal immigrants. It doesn't even have one. He claims he has one South African, but we don't even see that South African. So today, Baba, you are going to be counted. You're going to sleep in a cell. Ne?
We refuse to sit back and watch our country follow the same path. Absolutely not. Anyway, that's it for today. If you know citizens who are still being guilted into silence out of fear of being called xenophobic, please share this video with them. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.